A little bit unusual for this meeting is we're going to have a presentation before public discussion. We thought that might inform some people who are here for the clock system. And then we will have our usual public discussion where people can talk about anything to do with government. So the automatic license plate recognition system presentation by our Public Safety Director, Lloyd Fredericks, and a representative of Flock. It's your meeting now.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lloyd Fredericks. I'm the Public Safety Director for Franklin Township, and with me tonight I have Carl Bach, who is with Public Affairs with Flock. So, for all of you that don't know, ALPR stands for Automated License Plate Reader. It is a camera that takes a picture of your license plate as you drive by on the street, on a public street. It's solar powered. It's typically on a pole. If you see one of these outside, you'll recognize it immediately. It's used for criminal investigations only. It's used for criminal investigations only. All right? It provides us with information in real time, and it allows us as a police department and my investigators to solve cases extremely fast. I'm talking about less than days to hours to minutes. All right? And what I want you all to do is, everyone has their opinion, but I want you all to be receptive, right? I want you to listen. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Actively listen to what I'm saying, all right? Because I know there's a lot of rumors and a lot of myths out there that are floating around. Emery? Sorry, no worries. This is what Flock ALPRs do. They take a point in time picture of a vehicle traveling on a public road, right? There's no expectation of privacy on a public road or in public, all right? It captures the make, color, model, and license plate of the rear of the vehicle. That's what the picture of is. And it also is able to see the color of the vehicle. And like I said, we only support criminal investigations, and it keeps a record of every search made by the police officer in Franklin Township Police Department, and every police department, I can say, across the country. I'll speak for my PD. Anytime an officer does a search, and there's another presentation I'm going to show you, there is a record of that search. They have to put in certain parameters in order to get to that search. If they don't put in those parameters, they will not be able to search, right? Once it's in there, those parameters can be audited at any time by our ALPR coordinator that's in the police department, the county ALPR coordinator, and the state ALPR coordinator, the state police, right? All the way up to DCJ. What Flock ALPR, what they do not do is use facial recognition. That's a myth that's out there. Everybody here that's been to the airport, Newark Airport, facial recognition, all right? It also allows us to search for people, pets, and clothing. Elderly parents that are missing, we can find them. It's imperative that we find them, whether it's 110 degrees outside or minus 30 degrees outside. The faster we find them, the safer they are, right? The system is designed to do that. It does not connect to DMV systems or contain any information about the driver of the vehicle. Another myth. You think because we take a picture, we're taking a picture of the driver of the car. It's not. It's taking a picture of the license plate and the car. All right? We do not, or Flock does not track a vehicle continuously. The only time that an officer is going to track a vehicle or look for it is during an investigation. That is the only time. No other time. There's no officer that's going to sit in front of a Flock platform and just monitor this person for 24 hours. Absolutely not. I don't know who has the time to do that, but I know none of my police officers have the time to do that because we need to serve the community. I spoke about this just now about the offensive type and drop down. You have to put these parameters in order to search for anything in the Flock system. And like I said, it's audited, it's always tracked, and I'll get into some other info about that as well. It's built with privacy in mind. That's the big sticking point for a lot of people. A lot of people think that this system is tracking you consistently. It is not. I can tell you what's tracking you consistently. That supercomputer that you keep in your pocket. It's with you all the time. Anything you say, it records. That's why when you open up your phone and you're talking about a certain something, you start getting ads about it. All right? That's called tracking, continuous tracking. For all of you who have Nest in your house, Amazon Alexa, Siri. If I said, hey Siri right now, some of your phones are going to go off. And I've never touched your phone ever in my life. Right? Flock does not do that. All right? There are other ALPR companies in the state of New Jersey as well that track your, that take pictures of your license plates, I should say. All right? Everybody who's going through Easy Pass, anybody who's going through a toll road, okay? All of those things take pictures of your license plates on a regular basis. All right? The data is owned by Franklin Township. We pay for that data. And I can assure you Franklin Township is not selling your data. We have no interest to sell your data. Okay? It also, private customers never have to access to government data or hotlists. There are some communities in Franklin Township that have their own ALPR accounts. Right? They would have to share that information with the PD if something occurred in their area and we needed to investigate. Right? They have no access to it. They cannot get it. Right? Flock automatically deletes data after 30 days by default. Flock says they do it. I believe they do it. You have naysayers out here that are going to say they don't do it, but they don't have any proof. Right? Flock LPR only take images of publicly available information. All right? Anything that's out in public, the camera would take. Like I said, there's no expectation of privacy in public. Supreme Court has ruled that over and over and over and over again. All right? Flock does not have facial recognition. They don't have facial recognition. Port Authority does. I guarantee you. Clear does. I can guarantee you. Flock does not. All data is encrypted in transit and at rest, including and aligned with. There's a ton of things up there that I don't want to get too deep into because I'll lose some of you. But basically, the data is encrypted. Now again, if someone has ill intention and their intention is to get into something, they're going to do it. Our job is to mitigate it. Our job is to stop it. Flock's job is to stop it, right? The township's job is to stop it, right? And we implore those techniques to keep everyone safe and keep our systems safe. A quick video.
What if I told you that some of the most effective home defense tools don't use a single...
All right, anyway. Sorry, the video is not playing. All right, we also have a ALPR transparency portal on the police website. On that portal, you can go into this portal, it'll tell you over the last 30 days how many unique vehicles were detected in Franklin, how many searches we had done, and a number of hot lists. Hot list is something, when something occurs, we take that license plate and we put it into, we call it what is a hot list, and it'll notify other agencies and our agency whenever that vehicle passes a flock camera. Again, for investigative purposes only. Every search requires a registered ID with an offense type. I spoke about that already. Offense type and user ID is saved in a permanent audit trail. I spoke about that. Flock encourages all agencies to conduct regular audits to ensure proper usage and proactive auditing to flag potential misuses. With that being said, Franklin Township, our PD, the state mandates a yearly audit we do a quarterly and a random monthly audit. And there's another assistant that just joined our search. I'll explain that to you later on. All right, myths and facts. LPRs can track people and show police everywhere they go. That's a big myth. The fact is LPRs take point-in-time images of the rear of a vehicle on public roadways. They do not continuously track vehicles. Any images not used for an investigation are deleted. Courts have consistently found that taking images of public documents, license plates, on public roads is not a violation of privacy, which I spoke about. Myth, LPRs violate the Fourth Amendment. Appellate and federal district courts in at least 14 states, including the 9th and 11th circuits, have upheld using evidence from license plate readers as constitutional without requiring a warrant. So this is just some of the proven impacts through Flock Partnership. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they've been able to find over 100 missing children in cases that have been resolved due to the technology. From NAACP, quote, in a moment when our communities are demanding both public safety and equitable justice, Flock Safety LPR technology offers a powerful tool to reduce bias in policing. And in MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we believe that any technology that increases point crash responsiveness and accountability will help to raise awareness and change behaviors to avoid impaired driving. Now, I am going to specifically discuss Franklin Township. Did everyone get one of these handouts when they come in? Yes? No? All right. So, a couple quick stories. In 2022, Franklin Township did not have ALPR technology. Some surrounding towns did. To be specific, Rutgers University. The date was 2/22/2022. Right? You'll never forget that date now. We had a young lady get hit on Somerset Street. Fatal motor vehicle hit and run. Car took off. We could not find this car. No way, no how we were not finding the car. We searched. We called up the local PDs that had ALPRs, asked for their assistance. They hot listed the vehicle. I'm sorry, they were not able to hot list the vehicle because we did not have a plate. It was alleged that the car had no bumper when it struck this lady. This lady was run over a couple times while on Somerset Street. It was at night. 8 weeks down the line, a private tow company driving through a parking lot with an ALPR hits on a vehicle in the parking lot. Vehicle comes back stolen. Okay? We continue our investigation. Matching that vehicle up, but matching that plate that we found on that stolen vehicle to the flock camera, puts the vehicle in the area. We find our suspect. He's successfully convicted. That's 2022. So for me, that was a pivotal moment in technology. I'm like, wait a minute. So had we had this technology, we would have been able to find this person probably in a week, right? Or maybe days, not sure. But move this in the right direction. Franklin Township, moving forward, we have an individual that was missing, elderly male with dementia. He took off in his car driving. His goal was to drive back to his home country. Well, we looked for him, we couldn't find him. The last thing we got was a flock hit on his license plate going over the bridge into New York City. All right? This man is driving around for a week in his car. Could not find him. Once we got that plate hot listed, a couple hours later, New York City police officer finds him, parked in the car, sitting on the street in New York City. All right? We've found multiple stolen vehicles. We've solved multiple armed robberies. We've caught serial car burglars. We've caught commercial burglars. We've caught carjackers. We've caught people that have committed home invasions. We've located vehicles involved in shootings. We've located vehicles involved in homicides using our flock system. Just taking a picture of that license plate. All right? And again, we monitor so that our officers are not abusing the system. Right? But you got to realize that everybody's a human being. Human beings make mistakes. If they're intent on doing something, most of the time they're going to do it. Like I said, we need to catch them doing it. And officers are not exempt. Some officers do some questionable things. And when they do it, we have to hold them accountable. That audit trail is in place for that reason. For that reason, okay? Franklin Township, as a police department, is committed to utilizing the flock safety ALPR system to enhance public safety, deter and solve crimes, and support lawful investigations. The system will be operated in a manner that respects individual privacy, rights, and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Now, New Jersey has one of the strictest set of rules governing ALPRs across the nation. And of course, I'm going to defend New Jersey and defend Franklin Township because that's where I work and that's the community I serve. We talked a little bit about what flock does. I'm going to give you some permissible purposes. ALPR shall be used in a consistent manner to assist department personnel in accomplishing its mission in homeland security, suspect interdiction, stolen property, recovery, detection of crime, enforcement of state law and local ordinances, identification of stolen vehicles, stolen license plates, wanted and missing persons, amber alert, silver alert, blue alert. I'm sorry if I'm saying something you don't understand, but amber alert, I'm sure we have all heard about it. Silver alert is usually if someone's missing, and a blue alert is if an officer is seriously injured or shot. We send out a blue alert to try to catch that individual. Crime prevention and other traffic-related matters. I'll give you an example of the fatal incident we had on 27th. Prohibited uses. The ALPR system shall not be used for harassment or intimidation of individuals or group, profiling based on race, ethnicity, religion, political affiliation, or other protected characteristics, personal, non-law enforcement purposes, infringing upon First Amendment rights, and New Jersey law strictly prohibits state and local government entities from sharing automated license plate reader data with immigration and custom enforcement or any other agency for civil immigration enforcement. I'm going to say that again. Civil immigration enforcement. If it's a criminal warrant, the data is there. And we will use the data to get that person. Database access, I spoke about it a little bit, but I'll touch on it again. Whenever a member of the department accesses a flock database, a corresponding case number, search reason, and offense type is required. All right, one-word entries in the search reason field are prohibited. Again, red flag. Data management, data collection. Flock safety cameras capture license plate numbers, vehicle images, and metadata including time, date, and location. I spoke about this already. Data is stored and then deleted for 30 days on a rolling basis. The New Jersey Attorney General, the data is stored and retained for a period of 3 years, after which data shall be purged from the agency's data storage device or system unless it is associated with an active investigation or pending judicial process, in which the case data should be exported from the relevant storage system and retained in the case file. The system is designed to automatically purge on the first day after the 3rd year of retention. Access control, I touched on it again, I'll repeat. The data is restricted to authorized personnel. All access is logged and is subject to audit to ensure compliance with the policy. Data sharing. Data will not be shared with external agencies or third parties without proper legal authorization. Any sharing of data must comply with applicable laws and departmental procedures. Oversight and accountability, I touched on it. Stored ALPR data will be treated as criminal investigatory records within the meaning of NJSA 4718-1, and shall not be shared or provided to any person's entity or government agency other than law enforcement agency unless a subpoena or court order authorizes such disclosure, or unless such disclosure is required by court rules governing discovery in criminal matters. Any agency receiving a subpoena or court order for the disclosure of ALPR data shall, before complying with that subpoena or court order, provide notice to the county prosecutor or the Director of Division of Criminal Justice. So you see these layers. Even if I get a subpoena to release data, I need to go through the county prosecutor's office. County prosecutor's office needs to go through the state ALPR and AG office to release that data. I spoke about the audit annually. Franklin takes it up a step a little further. We do quarterly and random monthly. And that is, in a nutshell, FLOC and what the Franklin Township Police Department uses FLOC for criminal investigations. We stand by the fact that we monitor our officers. We stand by the fact that we only use it for investigatory incidents, and we monitor it to make sure that if an officer does make a mistake, we hold that officer accountable. I'm sure everybody has seen on the internet, clicked on stories, seen the stories across the country with officers who have, in fact, abused their authority with FLOC. But I will tell you, they have abused their authority with all the other ALPR companies as well. And if you look them up, you'll probably find out what they did. LSAG, Vigilant, there's some more just to keep you informed. Plate Recognizer, Recourse Systems, Axon, Plate Smart Technologies. You can just continue and continue and continue, right? There are lots of ALPR companies out there. There are lots of places that record you as you go, and you don't even know. Right? We've all been paying Easy Pass and tolls for the last, I don't know how many years, 30 plus years. Every time you go through that toll booth, that plate is captured. 100% of the time, all the time, and you could be doing 120 or 130, it's still gonna catch your plate. Right? Like I said, when you go to the airport, Port Authority. I was in the airport a couple of weeks ago, and an individual lost his wallet. I just happened to be sitting there when Port Authority walked up to him. And he goes, "Oh, well, how did they find me?" I said, "How do you think they found you?" They found you on camera, they saw your ID in your wallet, and they just watched you on camera to where you came and sat. And they walked up and gave you your wallet. So this technology is not new. It's been out since 1976, I want to say. I'm correct? 1976 is when ALPR technology started. To be fully transparent, in Franklin Township, we've had ALPR technology since 2010. It used to be on our patrol cars. We drive around in the car and they would just clip the plates and tell us what's going on. So, thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening. Would you say anything?
You got time for questions?
Hold on one second.
So, no. What's going to happen is after they're done, public session's gonna happen. You can ask a question during that, and after the public session is done, they can answer.
Shame.
Good.
Maybe I'll just add one thing. My name is Carl Bach. I'm a public safety manager for FLOC Safety. Two things to keep in mind: that roughly 70% of crime involve a vehicle in some way. When a missing person is driving a vehicle, this can be information that's used when minutes and hours make a difference between life and death. On July 24th, a New Jersey man was in his car, suffering a medical condition, complications with dementia, drove for 5.5 hours before he made it to Virginia in Rappahannock, where a sheriff's deputy was able to locate the vehicle using a FLOC camera. The gentleman was fine, he was recovered, taken to a hospital, he's doing fine, but that's an example of where this technology has been used in the real world to reunite someone with their loved one. We heard a lot today from the director about kind of what FLOC technology is and isn't. Just to reiterate a few key things. There's no facial recognition. This is a photograph of the back of the vehicle to capture license plate and vehicle characteristics. There's no personal identifying information. The camera sees the photo, it does not know who the driver is. There's no DMV connection. That's what the officer's investigation would have to lead. The agency owns all of their data. Flock does not sell data. Make that very clear in our contract and our terms and conditions. Appreciate the conversation. This is an important one that deals with public safety and privacy. And yeah, I'll hand it back to the director.
I thank you. We can move on.
Do that again?
We're done.
All right, so now what's going to happen is we're going to have public session. Let me first get it open. So I ask unanimous consent to open for public session. Without objection, we're open for public session. So because of the number of people here, it's going to be 3 minutes a person, no yielding of time, no, you can only come up once. Please state your name and address. This is a subject that brings out a lot of passion. I hope that everyone will respect each other, not interrupt anyone. You know, if you want to give a little moan or a little cheer after someone speaks, that's fine, but we're going to respect each other's rights. As far as I'm concerned, and this is not a requirement, that if you make a claim, I personally would like to know the source of that claim. Are you an industry expert? Did you work for Flock? Are you a police expert? That way I can, and if you have an article that you've read, you reference it. That way I can look it up and I can interpret it. It's not a requirement though. So with that, we'll open to public discussion.
I'm gonna flip that microphone around. Oh, it's gonna be hard to hear people.
Anyone wishing to come up, please come up. You can form a line so we don't have as much time lag between people. Anyone wishing to speak? Go ahead.
Just make sure you speak into the microphone, sir, that's all.
My name is John Latrakis. I live at 85 Arlington Avenue in Somerset. I have a few questions on this flock. One of them is it said they can profit from cases. It says specifically in the text, profiting based on race, religion, and other things. That implies that they can profit. That's contrary to what he said, that they don't profit. That statement says you can profit, it just says this particular categories you can profit. Can you respond to that question?
Sir, everyone's going to ask, and then once everyone's questions are done, then the answers will come.
Okay. Another question was, the data was deleted after a couple months, but then there's another data storage for 3 years. What's the difference between the two datas? What else? Yeah, how come we didn't know about this system when you put it in 22 months ago? I just learned about it recently. I mean, was it put out to the public in Franklin? Is the question. Why is it coming up now and not before? And I guess there was an item that said one tow truck had a camera on it. Do we have motor vehicles with the cameras on them? Is another question. I guess that's as many as I could think of quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Leslie Primo, 21 Phillips Court, Somerset. I want to thank the council, first of all, for having this meeting. I do think the gentleman just said that given the nature of the cameras, the ALPRs, this should have been advertised bigger than a Franklin Day. I think that every citizen in Franklin Township should give input if they can and if they want. We do have cell phones in our pocket. They are trackers. I'm someone who turns off everything I can. People do have Ring doorbells. They have Nest. I don't like it. I don't have an expectation of privacy outside my house. I'm wearing a mask. COVID isn't over. I have a compromised immune system. We're not taking care of each other. Whether we have cameras up that the town, I'm understanding, has paid over $300,000 for, does that come out of our tax money to the police department? I had, and I'm not calling her out, but just as a real life example, there was a car accident on Franklin and Hamilton. You know, people speed, they run the red light at that corner. An officer, I think her name was PTL Lea Lee. Bad vibes off her, very bad interaction with her. I realize accidents are, you know, emotions come or whatever. But then I go and look on Campaign Zero's website of police officers who have abused power, and she's on there with complaints. We need to deal with policing. We need to move forward with community policing. We don't need tools, even if they catch one criminal but compromise us all. It's not worth it. This, I'm sorry, sir, is not enough. It looks like you did it 20 minutes ago. Is this everything?
It is not.
In the 23 months, it's not a long time. I think we could have got a digital spreadsheet. I just think that more of these meetings are needed, and we need to open up the conversation, and it's gonna be contentious, but you know, the courts may have ruled that it's constitutional, but if you're using Flock as the main basis for probable cause, you're gonna run into something. And I realize the judicial system is sort of going off the cliff right now. In the end, you won't win. We can police without stalking. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. I know I lost 2 minutes, so I'll try to stick. Wanted to say thank you for this informative presentation. As a resident, I appreciate that Franklin PD has been, my name is AJ Hoffman. I live in Franklin Park. Do you need the full address?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
411 Green Hill Manor Drive, Franklin Park. As a resident, I appreciate Franklin Police Department has better regulation than many jurisdictions that have implemented these ALPR systems. However, we're describing the current state and some ALPR marketing. So I want to be clear, we're not just talking about Flock, we're talking about the entire system, we're talking about ALPR readers, and since 2010, I also have been protesting these ALPR readers that have been on cars, sitting in parking lots, sitting in the mall, treating every American driver as if we are a potential criminal. So that's a big problem that I have. I am a software engineer with 30 years experience coding for the web. My top 3 areas of concern regard civil rights, secure data handling of personal data, and the environmental impact. So the Flock system does violate our rights guaranteed under the 1st, 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendments. These systems provide a backdoor for agencies to illegally access information that would ordinarily require a warrant. This is a privately owned system that enables law enforcement personnel to circumvent our constitutional protections. The Flock system of warrantless mass surveillance threatens our right to free speech, freedom of assembly, and free association. These Flock systems violate our right to be free from unreasonable searches and our right to due process. These systems violate the Equal Protection Clause by enabling the police to target specific groups. This has a disproportionate impact on marginalized communities such as the LGBTQIA community that I do belong to, and our Black and brown communities, and who are already experiencing over-policing. As Americans, we believe that people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The Flock system tags us all as guilty and potential criminals rather than free citizens. The secure handling of personal data, the indiscriminate collection of data creates a juicy target for hackers and other bad actors simultaneously. This massive amount of data prevents efficient analysis of actual threats. The risk of breaches is very real, plus officers in many jurisdictions have already been caught misusing the system to stalk and harass women. And when there is a settlement, taxpayers will be on the hook. I did want to mention that the EasyPass system conduit, they had a data breach. And so with all these breaches, this information is already out there. Finally, the environmental impact of these systems cannot be ignored. The mass surveillance system requires storage for the massive amount of data. It relies on AI to connect the data points. Yes, you haven't implemented it yet. It's an over-the-air update, then it's coming, and it's done in other communities. So on the township, county, and state level, we need to fight this on every level with the ALPR systems, because we know it just grows. The flock system contract should be canceled at the township level, and I encourage the township to support efforts to cancel Somerset County and state level contracts. Every installed camera should be inspected to ensure they installed on breaking poles for crash safety, and law enforcement should answer to a civilian
If you could
oversight.
sum up, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christopher Rios, Super Crew 16 Bloomfield, Somerset. That there are bad actors who may use this technology is a lesser concern than if the state itself becomes a bad actor. I invite everyone to look at the New York Times' article precisely on opposition to these cameras, at the center of which is Flock, of course, who is represented here today for what I imagine is a PR job. The resolution of any criminal matter is good, but the end cannot justify the means in all cases, especially when civil liberties are potentially at stake. Our crime rate remains relatively low compared to the national average. The question is whether their purported benefits justify the continued use of machine-driven surveillance, especially in an age where generative AI is advancing at unimaginable rates with few guardrails. It may be that the courts have stated that these machines do not yet violate the Fourth Amendment, but the question is what this infrastructure can be utilized for as AI advances and what the court will say as new situations arise. It is one thing for the state to require police who wear body cameras to record its own actions in the interest of public safety and accountability. However, it is an altogether different thing for the state to install cameras on public property with the express purpose of flagging without a warrant the location of an individual's vehicle, especially if this is part of a nationally shared network. Although this is not continuous tracking, it does enable tracking by law enforcement from point-in-time snapshots. The EasyPass comparison is almost laughable, because we can voluntarily choose to not use the tollway, or the airport for that matter. But if you wish to avoid these cameras, you would need to not use public roads, which is untenable in current city planning. Again, the worthwhile end of improving public safety does not justify all means and certainly shouldn't justify continued warrantless machine-driven surveillance by the state, to say nothing of the increasingly absurd allocation of public resources to private for-profit companies versus the investment in public goods like housing and education. With any company that deals in data, one must ask the following. How much greater is the net value they're getting out of the contract compared to the value the customer gets, especially if the equipment is rented? I would caution against thinking that the only value they get is the price of the contract. They are a for-profit company. They are doing this not out of the generosity of their hearts. It was said that we own the data because we pay for it. If that's the case, it would seem that you're buying the rights to it, and you can only buy something that is not yours to begin with. And what will happen if the rental fee increases? Can another jurisdiction take over the equipment and use it for its own surveillance goals? To think these concerns are exaggerated or alarmist would be to assume a short-sighted perspective that disregards A, the increasing incidence of state surveillance in the US and globally, and B, the simple fact that the most valuable commodity today is our data, and actors good and bad are willing to pay a lot of money for it. Among other things, the so-called AI revolution represents a molten history of technology where tech companies, which I would include Flock in, now have the capability to trawl the data we're creating today at scale, but also to trawl the data we've created in the past that they've stored for decades. I lost my spot. Ultimately for their own financial benefit. No matter what a sales or PR rep tells you, they are not sincerely interested in being a part of the community, PR bloviating notwithstanding. They are a for-profit company interested only in their ROI and how cameras in our township can expand the catchment area of their surveillance operations, which will itself become a part of another sales pitch, etc. It falls on us to ensure that our values, our rights, and our communities cannot be bought. It is unlikely that we can stop the ongoing encroachment of state surveillance and big tech into our communities, but what we can do is slow them down using legal means. I ask the township to either discontinue all contracts with Flock or at least allow them to expire without renewal. Lastly, I would like to sincerely thank our law enforcement officers for their service and their sacrifices to our community.
Good evening, my name is Gary Primo, 29 Phillips Court, Sunset. What gets me about this whole Flock thing is the secrecy of it. We just suddenly see these black poles on the sidewalk. No communication what this was, no input, no markings on these poles. The poles don't say Franklin Township Police Department. The poles don't even say flock. It's just a black pole that I saw on the street. What is that? What is that? I walked up to it, took a picture, did a Google image search, and that's when I learned about flock. In my town, I've been in this town for God knows how long, I don't even know, many years. And no one said, hey, we're setting up this surveillance system to protect you. Meanwhile, you have 60,000 hits a month, and this. Officer, this. 60,000 hits in a month, 60,000 unique hits. And you have half a page of arrests. You have, I think it's 13 or 14 arrests over 4 years. No, when you got this, 24 months, 23 months. 23 months, 13, 14 arrests. Everyone is in this system. Every time I go to McDonald's, I pass a flock. Every time I go to Eastern and JFK, there's a flock. There was recently a flock in the past few weeks put up on Douglas and Somerset. Everywhere. And it's not just this town. We're being tracked everywhere we go, and y'all are just saying, you're being tracked anyway.
Shanique Davis, 227 Blake Avenue. I have 3 questions, 2 which have already been raised. Can you clarify what data are kept for 30 days and what data are kept by the AG for 3 years? The individual examples of successful investigations are helpful, but will the department provide aggregate and annual data? I don't know if that was on the transparency website or thing that was mentioned, like the number of alerts, confirmed hits, like how are you evaluating that this program is successful or not? And then lastly, can you tell us more about the internal auditing process? Is it being led by a committee? Is it by an internal committee, an external committee? Kind of who's doing that internal oversight and what does that look like? Thank you.
Jim Johnston at 34 Norwich Place. I heard you say a few times that Franklin Township will not sell data to other entities. That's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is that Flock is going to sell data to other entities. Now, with all due respect, sir, I heard you say Flock will not sell to other entities, but I disagree with you. I have a documentation to back myself up. It's an article published by the American Civil Liberties Union last April, April 16th, 2026. The title is Municipal, Beware of the Changes in the Flock's Legal Terms if you're using or considering license plate readers. And this article gives documentation that last February, 6 months ago, Flock made changes to all their contracts with towns and cities to give more power to Flock and take that power away from cities and towns like Franklin. So you may think you have power, but you don't. Flock has all the power now. They can do whatever they want. Here. Control over data. The new contract that went into effect last February, the previous contract had a statement saying that Flock does not own the data and Flock will not sell data. But now with the new contract, that statement has been taken out of the contract. That statement is no longer there. So Flock can now sell data to third parties, including agencies of the federal government. Okay. Now, one more thing in this article. Okay, control over data. The new contract grants Flock the exclusive right to determine and to control the method, the timing, the format, and the medium of access to the data that would supposedly belong to the city or town. All right, so what that means is, okay, you're the township, okay? You get a data feed from Flock. They get the data before you do. All right? You don't even see the data when they have it. They give the data to you, but you don't know what they're doing to the data before they give it to you. Okay? So what this new contract says, that Flock
instead of giving you a raw data feed from their cameras, they can make copies of it and make alterations or anything they want before they give it to the town. Okay? All right, so if you want me to send you email this article to you, let me know. It was published by the American Civil Liberties Union. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Jason Rand. I'm at 36 Gates Road and also 357 Cotswold Place. I just moved, but they're both in Franklin. I had a couple questions that I didn't hear addressed. One was, I don't think we actually talked about how much the system is costing the township, and I would love if that was public information and consideration on what other things that money could go to instead. I do want to just also say that I applaud that Franklin is requiring more audits than the state requires. I think that's great, and I think auditing is super important for this kind of system. My background is in doing IT and cybersecurity for small businesses like lawyers and accounting firms. So I had a couple specific questions. Specifically, is Franklin Township enforcing multi-factor authentication when accessing the system for all employees? Is it tied into single sign-on with the Microsoft 365 that I believe the township uses for your emails? If not, I would recommend that that is absolutely implemented 2 years ago, because that should have been standard no matter what. That is basic security, and my understanding is that is not the default for every municipality. So I want to make sure that that is done. You said that you don't know if they're actually deleting the data after 30 days, and you are the government. You should probably be requiring somebody to look at the source code and make sure that they actually are. Don't just take somebody's word for it. Make sure that it actually happens. You also said that if a bad actor wants to access the data, they will. I think that's a terrible excuse for poor cybersecurity, that we could choose to not have it and then bad actors wouldn't get their hands on it. So just saying that it being able to be broken into is not really acceptable. And I want to double check that Franklin does not allow demo access to Flock for Flock employees to access the data that some other municipalities apparently have given access to, and I think that's worth checking in the contract. And maybe requiring multiple officers to sign off on any search that's done to prevent a bad actor before it needs to be audited would just help alleviate anyone's fears of a rogue officer going off and stalking someone. Thank you for your time.
I didn't understand the demo access. What did you mean by that?
There was...
Into the mic, please.
Oh, sorry.
I addressed it, I got that.
Okay. There was, in Georgia, I believe, a case where a Flock employee pulled up a live camera feed from a municipality to show another municipality how it works and that kind of things. Okay. And it showed that Flock could just access anyone's camera at any time without the proper authorization.
Thank you.
Okay, Sanchi Sharma, 89 Cherrywood Drive. I have a paper here with paragraphs and sources that I will give to you later if that's okay. Okay, so I am particularly concerned about ALPRs specifically in this political environment where terms like crimes, criminals, and terrorists keep changing. And I would like to bring attention to the Flock CEO. This is quoted from an article from the ACLU. Flock CEO attacks motives of people who care about privacy, saying they are trying to normalize lawlessness and let murderers go free. He also apologized for calling D-Flock terrorists in a different article. Flock and the law enforcement agencies we partner with are under coordinated attack. He said in an email, it's an ACLU article, I can also find it for you. I've heard this from a specific channel I do not like these words, I do not like them being used like this. And if Flock CEO is saying that, I don't like that. Okay, let me see. So I work in domestic violence, I work for a domestic violence agency, and bad actors can really, really mess up somebody's life. And I know people who are scared because people, maybe like their parents, work in law enforcement and have access to specific resources. I also go to confidential places. And yes, it might not actively track where I'm going, but I don't think if you have a pattern of where I'm driving every day, different stoplights, it's that hard to track where I am. You know, if you look, I'm not saying anyone cares, but I don't like it, and I think the people I work for who need confidentiality and safety right now because they're really vulnerable do not like it either. Okay, let me move on. Sorry, I'm going speedway. Okay, I'm just going to quickly read off a couple of these article pieces I have. In March, for instance, an officer resigned from Milwaukee Police Department after allegedly using department's network of ALPRs to track his romantic partner and one of the partner's exes nearly 180 times over a 2-month period. Okay. For instance, records reveal, this is completely different, that a Johnson County Sheriff's Office in Texas used Flock in 2025 to search for the location of a woman purported to have had a self-induced abortion. Even though abortion before fetal liability was legal in states like Washington and Illinois, Flock cameras in these states were nonetheless enrolled in the hunt for this woman. Please let me know if that is allowed, or is that something you do? Okay, let me look. Okay, Flock, the false positives here. Arguably the highest profile contract cancellation for Flock came when the Los Angeles Police Department decided to non-renew its years-long contract with the company, a decision motivated by a searing internal audit of the company's technology. The internal audit found that in just 2 months, Flock ALPRs contributed to 161 false stolen vehicle alerts, resulting in a false positive rate of 32.3%. Okay, I also think this money can be put towards poverty, other things that cause crime instead of us surveillancing people. Lastly, in my freshman year of college, we had this one guy who'd really mess up the bathroom, and this other guy was like, I'm just gonna stand outside the bathroom. And you know what? I was like, that's weird. You can't just police people like that. That's not okay. It's weird. This is weird. That's it. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Jonathan White, 7 Gary Court. Regarding FLAC, and I don't think 3 minutes is enough time to cover this, but I just have questions. I don't have any statement, and my questions are more towards protecting the township from any issues and our citizens from issues that are created by this. So does FLAC, the company, indemnify the township should its systems be used in a way that potentially opens up the township to litigation? That's question number 1. Question number 2, in each of the examples given by the Public Safety Director about our release of our privacy information, airports, tolls, cell phones, etc., there's a warrant required to use that data. When are warrants required to use FLOC data? Third, judges have warned in Schmidt versus the City of Norfolk and U.S. versus Elijah Porter, and I can get the site notations for you if necessary, that the density of cameras determines whether or not there may be a Fourth Amendment violation. So what protections have we put in place to ensure that we don't create a density issue in the township or in specific wards within the township? Fourth question, I've seen a case where a motorist was, this is about false positives, where a motorist was accused in a hit and run of a pedestrian based on FLOC camera capture of his vehicle when the culprit was actually driving the same make and model vehicle past the ALPR at approximately the same time. So how often are false positives flagged, and what are we doing to make sure we can prevent false positives? And the last question I have is, what would it take for the township to agree to a citizen oversight of FLOC audits? Thank you.
Good evening. Lois Kahagi, 123 Girard Avenue. So I have to thank YouTube and John Oliver for finding out about this whole police surveillance and FLOC. And then thank you to a friend of mine here who now told me about this meeting today. And then I hear the questions that came before me about people wondering when this happened, how it happened, essentially no information. So I'm one of those people who I'm only finding out about this through last week tonight, the algorithm. So I stand here because what I want to know is, one, the accountability. who decided that this is appropriate for Franklin Township. I'll tell you that I went on the Flock website somewhere, and then I actually was able to see where these cameras are situated. I see them concentrated somewhere on, what is that street called? Hamilton and Franklin Boulevard, and a little out way, so I don't even know how that was decided. Usually I see this township giving us a lot of information we need, information we don't need. This is information we need that we didn't get. I want to know how this information that is supposedly owned by Franklin Township, if it is accessible under Oprah. And if so, what do we get, what is stored, what can be gotten under Oprah? And then I want to know also, we hear about metadata, so I want to know the associated metadata with this information. Let us know. And then I do know that a lot of this information is going to be related to criminal investigation records and so on and so forth. So I want to know if the township is taking a position whether each and every record concerns in investigation and criminal work, and is therefore exempt from Oprah. And so also, as was brought up by someone else before me, are we also storing information regarding misreads, information that, you know, if the device or whatever collects also information that is not correct, essentially. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Bennett. I live at 39 Cedar Brook Drive in Somerset, and I wasn't planning to speak tonight, but I wanted to stand here in support of everyone that spoke before me and echo what they said. In addition, I've listened to this most noble presentation that was given to us regarding the use of these cameras to capture, you know, a handful of criminals and the occasional wandering Alzheimer's patient. And these intentions are indeed noble, but isn't that how the road to hell is paved? In addition, I think that having a camera on the corner of JFK and Hamilton, which is not a toll plaza, which is not an airport, does not justify the Big Brother surveillance that we have going here. I see a lot of bored faces at the dais, so I know minds are already made up, and nothing here is going to change. But I'm telling you for a fact that while you may trust your own processes and maybe have accountability if somebody goes off the reservation and starts stalking people, I don't trust Flock. I don't believe that Flock cannot be hacked, not only by other entities that want to come in, but maybe even foreign governments. And I think that this is a very bad idea, and you need to rethink it all, or we are all going to pay. Thank you.
Hello. I'm a minor, so I'm just going to say my name is Zoe, and I go to Franklin High School.
Yes, thank you.
Now, there's a man before me that asked how many misuses, how many cases of mistakes has this machine made, and how often is it made? Well, there's an article by the AutoWire on Yahoo News that I can read. There are 2 cases in June 2026 that showed license plates that have 2 numbers smaller than the rest of the numbers on the license plate, therefore misread and detained them, or they were stuck for hours before being released. Sherwood, Arkansas, February 2026. A camera misread a digit on an innocent couple's plate and flagged it as stolen. Officers ordered the couple out at gunpoint while their 6-week-old baby remained alone in the backseat. Sherry Woods, Colorado, April 2026. A driver was repeatedly pulled over after officers mistakenly entered his own plate onto a Flock hot list instead of a suspect's. Volusia County, Florida, April 2026. A Flock capture led officers to misidentify a driver's car as one linked to a fatal accident. He spent 13 days in jail before the error was found. Boulder County, Colorado, December 2025. Another Colorado driver was repeatedly stopped after her own plate was mistakenly added to a hot list. San Diego, California, November 2025. Officers searching for a red Alfa Romeo tied to an attempted carjacking relied on Flock's vehicle appearance matching, which flagged a different red Alfa Romeo 5 miles from the crime scene. A passenger in that car spent nearly a month in jail before the mistake was caught. Denver, Colorado, September 2025. An officer misread a set of flock captures and wrongly attributed a string of thefts to an innocent woman. Jefferson County, Colorado, August 2025. A third Colorado driver was repeatedly pulled over after her plate was mistakenly hot-listed. Redmond, Washington, August 2025. A data leaking error connected a suspect's vehicle to his innocent father, leading officers to detain the wrong man. Lafayette, Indiana, July 2024. A camera misread led to an innocent driver being detained at gunpoint. Morristown, Tennessee, June 2024. A camera read an O as a zero, leading officers to detain two grandparents at gunpoint in front of their 3-year-old granddaughter. North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, May 2024. Officers misidentified a vehicle from an alert and detained an innocent teenager at gunpoint. Toledo, Ohio, April 2024. A camera misread a 7 as a 2. Officer detained the driver at gunpoint, deployed a police dog against him, and held him for several hours. York County, South Carolina, February 2024 and July 2026. An innocent motorist was held at gunpoint in 2024 after a misread character on his plate, which the sheriff's office attributed to the tinted plate cover. A second York County driver, Stephen Melvin, is now suing after a similar misread of a single letter this year led to another gunpoint stop. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. More on that specific article. Thank you.
Michelle Peterson, 66 Wilson Road. Whether anyone says these exact words tonight or not, we will be asked to accept this conclusion. The benefit to the many outweighs the privacy concerns of the few. Flock does not begin with a suspect and monitor that suspect's vehicle. It records every vehicle that passes and stores that information so police can search it later. The system collects information about every single one of us, not just people suspected of committing crimes. We're going to be told, or we were told, that the system reads license plates, not people. But a license plate is connected to a person. With enough cameras, these records can reveal whether someone traveled and establish a pattern of movement. Facial recognition isn't even necessary to learn that someone visited a church, political meeting, medical office, private home, or protest. Tonight's officials will not remain in office forever. You guys aren't going to be around forever. Police leadership will change, council members will change, laws will change, contracts and company policies will change, and absolutely technology will change. Police director, are you saying that the flock cameras in place now will never be capable of facial recognition? But does not and cannot is not this. Does not is not the same as cannot. There's another part of flock's business that council and residents need to understand, and this is from their website, Mayor. In 2024, Flock made a major strategic expansion by acquiring Aerodome, a company specializing in automated drone as first responder technology. Flock is building an integrated platform that can connect license plate readers, cameras, 911 systems, sensors, and aerial observation. Its drones can launch automatically, stream live video, and use thermal imaging, low light technology, and powerful zoom. To be clear, I'm not claiming that Franklin is purchasing drones. I'm pointing out where this company and its technology can go. Flock is not simply selling stationary license plate cameras, it's building a connected system capable of identifying a vehicle and then providing mobile real-time aerial observation. Flock says its drones are intended for emergency response and not general patrol or surveillance. That may be the policy today, but it is not a technical limitation. The cameras, databases, and connections accepted today could become the foundation for capabilities we are assured will never be used tomorrow. Everything will be in place though, only the rules will have to change. If the council continues or expands Flock, it will probably be because the immediate public safety benefits appear to outweigh the possibility of future surveillance. But that's a false choice. We can definitely support law enforcement while insisting that public safety technology include meaningful limits that cannot be quietly changed by a software setting, corporate policy, or administrative decision. So council, as you listen tonight, do not ask whether flock can help solve crimes. Of course it can and it will. Ask what power we are creating, who's going to control it, what prevents its expansion, and whether we are comfortable giving that power to people who have not yet been elected under laws that have not yet been written.
Michael Hampton, 319 Schilling Drive, Somerset. Flock sucks. Everybody's talked about it. I don't have questions for Flock. Who made the decision? Next year is a voting year for 3 of you, plus both state assembly people. The state senator is up in a couple months for re-election. All Democrats, all of you. Most of the people up here citing ACLU, not from my side of the aisle. It's your people. I warned you guys a couple years ago. You're overstepping, you're overreaching, you're acting secretive. Some of you have forgotten we put you all there. You weren't hired by anyone other than us. You answer to us. I agree with the lady a couple minutes ago. Your reactions while sitting up there while people are talking, terrible. Looking like that when I talk, I get it. I pissed a lot of you off. But some of these people, I mean, goodness, they bring up good points. We even had an IT expert up here. If I'm standing on JFK, which connects to Clyde, and I'm looking at Easton Avenue, are there more flock cameras to the right or the left? Judging by some of those sounds, they know what I'm getting at. Because I've heard people mention Hamilton Street, predominantly black and brown. Franklin Boulevard, predominantly black and brown. You quoted some accidents that happened on Somerset Street, predominantly black and brown. I'd be willing to bet a year's salary there are more flock cameras in the predominantly black and brown neighborhoods in this town than if you go towards Franklin Park, towards Griggstown, towards Princeton. So again, whose decision was it? Someone has to own this. It's 10 of you sitting up there. Councilman Vasanella is smart enough for whatever reason to not be here for this. That man is a genius. Danielson's office is down the street, smart enough to not be here for this. He knew what was coming. My guess of what's going to happen is, based on you giving us 3 minutes, jumbling it into the public section, instead of meeting and having an entire meeting about this like you guys did for the warehouses, because those were your voting constituents, Mayor Kramer. These people aren't. Some of you might be if you go to the senior meetings. But that's what you guys care about. I'm telling you, the seniors hate this too. As much as people my age. People double my age think this is ridiculous. But again, how many cameras are there total in town? Where do they sit in town? And I'll say one thing about flock. First of all, it just tells you who owns the car, it doesn't tell you who's actually driving the vehicle. So the issues that you have seen with flock are them giving in, let's say, for instance, a car that I own is suspected of being attached to a murder, but my girlfriend is driving it with my baby in the back seat. Is the police response going to be any different depending on who's driving the vehicle? No, it's not. You're putting people's lives in jeopardy by this. It'd be better if you had facial recognition software, to be honest. At least you know who you're going after.
They do have facial recognition.
I know. Good evening. My name is Geraldine Williams. I'm at 185 Burn Street in Somerset. And I've been a Franklin resident all my life. And I have a decade of experience in strategic partnerships, of organizational leadership across nonprofit, philanthropic, and civic institutions. Work focused on building trust between institutions and the communities they serve, and designing programs that keep community voice central to decision making. I'm here because how we deploy technology like this should be shaped by the same transparent, community-centered process. You know, I have no ties to flock or law enforcement, but what I pulled out is coming from this actual document, as well as other policy and independent sources. So my 2 questions come from the policy that we just saw tonight. So it lists 2 retention periods, 30 days rolling and 3 years under the state directive. Which one of those governs us? And here's why the reach of the system matters beyond that question. You know, we're talking about all these different incidents across the country. We talked about May of last year, 404 Media reported it, about the Texas deputy searching for the female citizen who had an abortion, and that it wasn't even just Texas. It was reaching into Illinois and Washington states where it is legal for her to receive that care. And there was no warrant required. Court records that the Electronic Frontier Foundation later obtained showed deputies discussing criminal charges with prosecutors despite officials publicly calling it a welfare check. Then we also have information coming from a Christopher Newport University study. Using court unsealed camera locations, they found that license plate cameras concentrate in black neighborhoods at nearly 4 times the rate of white ones in the region set. And so this system doesn't fail everybody equally, and it's not always by accident. I think oversight is truly what matters more than good intentions. The policy for here in Franklin has its own coordinator certifying to itself that a spot check found no misuse. That same model was used in Dayton, Ohio, and that had its own police chief confirmed, and the Dayton Daily News independently reported that this spring, that its network had been searched 7,000 times for immigrant enforcement against city policy. So like public pressure found that, and that is not a routine sign-off. And so when we're thinking about whatever kind of auditing system we're putting in place, if we continue to use this, it's that it needs to be outside of the department. And I think a full public report at the township level is important. Statewide checkbox, big state to bring this back before it's permanent, and the standard I'd hold any institution to before asking the community to trust it. Thank you.
Good evening, Marcella Costanza, 98 Bayberry Drive. I also learned about Flock from John Oliver's show, and I have to tell you that what I saw was incredibly disturbing. That being said, 4 days later, I got the email from TAP about this meeting. I looked at the map, saw where the Flock cameras were in our area, decided to come to the meeting. 20 minutes before I left my house this evening, this tracker sent me an article about another technology called Signal Trace that works in conjunction with the ALPRs and detects signals from this and from this. I can only ask and pray that this township is not planning on implementing that technology as well. Because if it does, I'll be moving out. Thank you.
Javon Walker, 15 Coon Street. In summary, based off of the Flock discussion, just want to ask everyone if it's worth it. And when I say that, I have to think about all the entities from what was discussed earlier on. The first one is to the council. If this is brought up to a vote and you decide to vote with it, you're gonna have to live with your vote, whether you're reelected or not, like next year's a re-election year, whether y'all get in or not. This is something that's highly contentious in the community, and you see how many people are standing up and speaking in comparison to prior meetings. So whether you choose to go forward with this or not, it's up to y'all, but you gotta live with the vote, you gotta live with your next, election cycle. Second thing is for the police department. They do a lot of great in the community. I don't know who came up with the idea, but some of my roots are in Georgia. I used to live in Georgia, and I can tell you there's a lot of rednecks that go around and knock the hell out of these SWAT cameras. They don't want them around. Some of the people come up and speak about them, but a lot of people they be about it. If they don't want the flock cameras in their neighborhood, they simply knock them down, they damage them, they destroy them, they do whatever, and it's added taxpayer funds to replace those. So that's why I'm saying, is it worth it? There's a political liability, there's a financial liability to Franklin Township for having to replace those. And I think if you really want voter representation, I say, if anything, you leave it to a referendum. If you don't want to vote for it, let the people decide how they want it.
Linda Powell, 22 Buffett Drive. I didn't come here intending to speak, but a friend's been texting me and wants to know how many cameras there are and how much they cost, and if I ask the rest of the text questions, it would take me more than 3 minutes. I did come here to learn a little bit more about flock and the cameras. I know there's all types of surveillance going on in this country, some of it legal, some of it not legal. And in terms of it being a private company, we know the main motivating factor of private companies is profit. And if Musk comes in and wants to buy flock, he'll do it. And we've seen what he's done to other companies, including Tesla. It's not the intended use that I have concern about, it's the massive potential for abuse. In terms of what the woman who spoke before said, you know, following people to protests, has to realize that it's not only people who go to the protests that are tracked, it's the counter-protesters as well. And if they come in and want to call us all terrorists or communists, those MAGAs are going to be picked up as terrorists and communists unless they can prove otherwise. Because anyone who's not a MAGA in this day is either a terrorist or a communist. I do think that we have to think about how we're putting this technology to use and not necessarily trust what's said. It looks like the contracts were already changed and our police department and township didn't even know about that change in contract, which I didn't know about. And if anyone does have an opportunity to look at, he talks really fast, I have trouble understanding sometimes fast-speaking people because I have an old brain in this head. But you know, look at the HBO John Oliver show. There was one thing in particular. There was a family in Texas. A car was stopped. The license plate was the right number that Flock had detected. However, and they pulled it out, it was women and children. They were all dark-skinned, face down on the blacktop, hands tied behind their back for I don't know how long in the hot, hot weather. And it ended up that this license plate number would actually belong to a stolen motorcycle thousands of miles away. So there is, you know, and the other thing is maybe I watch too much TV, the potential for hacking into systems for other reasons. It's scary. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Erin Connor. Apologize, I'm very anxious. You started off this meeting asking us to all be open-minded. I ask you the same. I see a lot of bored faces, and I find that very disappointing. Please respond to your citizens the same as you expect us to listen to you. So I'm going to ramble a lot of questions. 215 North 8th. So first, why are Flock representatives notified more than residents when this is going to be addressed? Do you audit different agencies or only internally? Do you audit, for example, other state agencies or federal agencies? What percentage of usage is audited? If data must be fed to state databases, how can you ensure that no one from a different agency or other part of the state will misuse it? Related to that, there was an NJ.com article that showed multiple searches where the cause for the search was ALPR, only ALPR, no other reason. So again, how are you ensuring that full sentences are used? Is that only internally for Franklin Park, or is that overall? Because if that is the case, clearly this audit is not sufficient. Is the random monthly audit a random month or random days each month? That was not very clear. It was just stated random monthly. Can external agencies use this to search for an immigrant on the basis of, for example, a minor traffic infraction or other minor criminal offense, thereby bypassing the prohibition on civil immigration enforcement being used for, or being a cause for using ALPRs? If it only records the back of vehicles, how does it help find lost pets or people? Is this only going to help in the instance that you know a plate number associated with that pet or person being lost? How have you addressed various technological vulnerabilities of ALPRs, in particular being Flock? There's a Ben Jordan YouTube video, as well as I've read multiple articles demonstrating that hackers can easily access this. I find it incredibly offensive how it has been dismissed that various departments across this country have abused this, considering that I have friends who have been stalked and are survivors of domestic violence. I think that any misuse with this is disgusting and unacceptable. And I hope that instead you guys consider the cost to a person's life if they are either the victim of misuse or if they are wrongfully held at gunpoint, or God forbid someone were to be killed by an officer who thought they were part of a violent crime when they were completely innocent. So please reconsider working with Flock or any ALPR technology. Thank you.
What was your first question?
First question, why are Flock representatives notified of these meetings more than residents?
Good evening. Can I just ask that before we start the clock, that I introduce myself as the petition starter to this council?
So start the clock.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, we have to start the clock.
Of course. Since Flock sent their damage control rep to defend their egregiously dishonest company, I will bring attention to the detailed report on Flock
Name and address.
I sent to each council member today. Frank Ciara, Ward 2. The report that I sent, Mayor, came with verified sources at your request. There's a high likelihood the Franklin Police Department was manipulated or at least misled by Flock employees with marketing material containing dishonest statistics, false security promises, and deceitful language concerning system control. It's in the report, hardware flaws that could give criminals access to Falcon Model OS or physical USB ports that allow hackers to execute malware payload scripts from a USB drive from outside the operating system. LAPD found a 33% false positive rate for hot list hits, as did other city audits shown in the report. 161 false hits in 2 months. Why was there so much, Mr. Flock Rep? The LAPD said they are better off without Flock. So are we. What is the false hit rate in Franklin Township? Is it also 33%, Lloyd? In the report, you will find every documented case of Flock being egregiously dishonest as a company and misleading council governments and citizens, like falsely representing the heat map feature at a city council meeting, or lying about a secret pilot program that gives federal agencies access to customer systems, and falsely claiming end-to-end encryption, when by definition, the system is not end-to-end encrypted if the provider holds the keys to every transaction. I have included Flock marketing material in the report to highlight the false advertisements and false promises made to most city councils. It's the same report, it's the same slides shown here tonight, just some fixing of the false advertising. You can see that in the report, which brings me to February 16th. After Flock secures over 5,000 contracts, they decide to change their terms and conditions, a telltale behavior of a company that uses deceptive, unethical business practices. Removing no-sale language from the contract, new license language that gives them more control over customer-facing data. Added perpetual license that gives them the right to use our data even after the contract termination in Franklin Township to feed their AI model. Speaking of their AI model, no language in the contract prohibits Flock from leveraging their AI model to train other third-party company AI models using knowledge derived from our data. And my report highlights how Flock uses manipulation tactics and training police departments how to market their product to counsel with false statements to stifle concerned residents.
Your time has expired.
See the overwhelming evidence I gave you and ban Flock from Franklin. No one wants to sacrifice privacy for a false sense of security from a shady private company.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Sir, you are expired.
May I talk about something unrelated to Flock?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to complain about Ken Jacobs. He seems to be doing a bad job.
Alex Strauss, 285 Hazlitt Way. I have no doubt about the sincerity of Public Safety Director Fredericks. He wants to fight crime. But let's keep in mind why he's in his particular position, that is Public Safety Director, because there was allegations, certainly, of police misconduct, which then spurred Franklin to get rid of the police chief post and get a Public Safety Director instead. So that does happen, and it did happen here in Franklin. In addition, Mr. Fredericks is saying there is no right to privacy in public. However, if you look up 2018 U.S. Supreme Court, Carpenter v. United States says otherwise, that certainly at the very least there is a gray area and that you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in the whole of your physical movements, including your movements in public. That's what that says. In addition, Mr. Fredericks had commented about his confidence in the state of New Jersey, how they're really on it, you know, protecting us. Well, if you look up the license plate reader policy scorecard, New Jersey gets a 2 out of 7 in various measures. The best was Connecticut, Oregon, Virginia, and the state of Washington. So New Jersey did not score well in that category. So we're waiting for our public officials. Senator Michael Testa down in South Jersey, Republican, is planning to introduce something for September. We're waiting for our Democratic legislature and of course our governor to act. I guess they're not here right now, but we'll be waiting. You know, I mean, again, I don't doubt Mr. Fredericks' sincerity, but it sounded almost like something that Mark Zuckerberg would say about the right to privacy, or one of the Silicon Valley billionaires. Ultimately, obviously, the police department works for us, okay, not Flock, okay? And so I trust that you will make the right decision. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Does not have to be about Flock, not anything else.
Yeah, I'll tell you why we were misled by the law firm, because this is the worst law firm in New Jersey.
So name and
The Raynone, Mincello, Coughlin law firm, this is the worst
Name and
law
address,
firm.
please.
No, until the FBI releases the Epstein
Name and
files
address.
unredacted, I will be redacting my address and my name from the record, because I don't trust government. I will not. You will not invade my privacy. I can't believe you asked this woman for her actual address, where she lived, her house number. Don't you dare be intimidated by doing that. People do not have to share their private, sensitive information about where they live. Although he should all the way on the right. He should. I don't trust government. I don't trust these people. This meeting is a joke to me. First off, I'm sweating. I'm dripping with sweat. I have no idea why there's not air conditioner in this room. No. You are being disrespectful. Do not cut me off. This is my time, and why do we only have 3 minutes? I watched these meetings. Didn't we have 5 minutes? Why did I come here and immediately get 2 minutes stolen from me? Why did you steal from all of us? Every person who spoke, you got 2 minutes stolen from you. Why couldn't we have a discussion with the public safety director in the beginning of the meeting? Why couldn't we have a conversation, a back and forth, also known as a conversation? Why? This is a shit show presentation. This is why government looks like it's a clown show. This is the worst law firm in New Jersey. All they do is misrepresent facts to people. They are liars. They are all crooks. I don't trust any of you people. I don't, and none of you should give your address to these people. None of you. Nobody should ever give their address to government. We cannot be willingly handing over our sensitive information. So you're not going to get my name. You're not going to get my address, and you don't have to like it. Look at Ben Franklin on the wall. You guys remember what that quote was that Ben Franklin said? I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, but what is the quote?
I wrote it down for the public meeting. That's the only reason I have it. It is.
Ma'am, you may not speak.
No, she's speaking for me.
No, she may not speak for
Okay, so they don't want you to hear Benjamin Franklin's quote. They don't want you to hear his quote. They want to shut down conversation. They want to shut down community involvement. They want to shut down a person who I was willing to let speak during a part of my public portion. How dare you? Do not cut me off. Do not cut me off. You are out of order. You are out of order, okay? I am not listening to you. You don't have to listen to me. All you have to do is nothing. I watched you people up here. You have been on the phone the entire goddamn time. The entire time. Why don't you just at least pretend like you care? They stole 2 minutes from every one of you. They stole 2 minutes from every single person because they don't give a shit. What's the quote?
Sir?
Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. That's the Franklin I trust. I don't trust this Franklin. I don't trust the public safety director. Rumors we heard on the internet. All the things that we heard on the internet are just rumors. Right? You've already gave up all your freedoms. Right? We go through Easy Pass every day. We have our phones, they're already tracking us. Right? Every time someone cuts down a flock camera, I celebrate it. I celebrate it. You guys should too.
Okay, a lot of questions. How do we-
Would have been nice if they were answered in real time.
I can address some of the technical questions and some themes that came up and then hand to the director, if that's okay?
Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity to clarify. The retention period was brought up a number of times, 30 days as a default versus 3 years. Flock safety's overall default is 30 days unless state or local ordinance needs something different. So Virginia is 21 days, in New Jersey it's 3 years. So the data that's retained is the photo of the exterior of the vehicle, the time, date, and location. That's the data. It's the single photo of that vehicle. And according to the Attorney General of New Jersey, the retention period for that would be 3 years. Data ownership and the terms were specifically mentioned a number of times. And just to clarify, we recently amended the contract with the township to clarify what's already existing in our terms and services, that the township owns 100% of the data and Flock does not sell data. That's also per code of New Jersey. The Attorney General says that a vendor like Flock is not permitted to sell data, but we further clarified that in the contract amendment with the township.
So stop right there. I'm gonna ask the attorney a question. If we have a written contract with a company and they on their website change what they write as the contract or what they write as their terms, which takes precedent?
Our written contract, obviously.
Okay.
They can't unilaterally change the terms and conditions.
Yes, they can.
Please don't interrupt the meeting.
Well, you're interrupting by saying that.
No, it's
You
my
don't run the
place to
show.
do it. I have a voice.
You're not the chair.
Let's have a few more really quick
Hold on one
ones.
second. Let's be respectful. If you're not respectful, you will be removed. Right? End of conversation.
Don't lie to us.
End of conversation. If you're not respectful, you will be removed.
That's inappropriate for him to be making this announcement. That there's a chair and a parliamentarian for the meeting.
Okay, I hate to have to do this, but you're out of order. If you keep it
Sir,
up,
you
we
do
will
not
have you
understand
removed.
to call someone out of order.
He's out of order.
He has
Sir.
voice.
He has to go to the chair. He can't just start speaking.
Let us be personable with everyone in here
You're not allowed
and
to
listen.
speak.
All right?
You're just not. It's not the way it works.
Law enforcement or
In
feelings
your eyes.
I just got a few more I wanted to
Okay,
real
but
quick.
before you go on, it does say that some data is retained for 30 days. Can you say specifically what that data is
Yes,
versus the 3 years?
The data is retained for 3 years, and that is the snapshot, the photo of the exterior.
But it also says 30 days, so what's the difference between
Yeah,
30
30
days?
days is the default per the system, except when there's applicable state code or local code that has a different retention period.
Okay, so it's really 3 years, not 30 days.
It's in New Jersey, it's 3 years across the
Thank you.
board, and in Connecticut and Virginia, it's 21 days because that's what state law requires.
Thank you.
Multi-factor authentication was brought up. That is a mandatory requirement for any authorized user to log into the system. And we can provide the Amazon Web Service Cloud retention document that demonstrates the architecture where this data is scheduled for deletion, permanently deleted, and unrecoverable. Cybersecurity was a common theme. That's something that we share. We know that in this day of age, we need to be vigilant We have a number of third-party auditors that are required to look at our system to make sure that we're following the security protocols that we sent up, not just one time, but over months to make sure that we're in accordance to this. The system remain compliant with the criminal justice information data that we're collecting, so that's CJIS. So that's a requirement we take pretty seriously. We know that we have to be vigilant, so we've gone above and beyond and hired independent third-party cyber companies, cybersecurity companies. They're called ethical hackers. Bishop Fox is one of them, to aggressively look for vulnerabilities in our software and our hardware to make sure that we are staying ahead of the curve. It's something that we know we need to stay on top of because of the sensitive nature of this information. Two more things real quick. There is no facial recognition on these cameras at all. Signal Trace was mentioned. I think that's a different company that does the Bluetooth signal piece. This is nothing to do with Bluetooth or cell phone information. This is just the photo of an exterior vehicle, the back of a car, to look for the plastic and metal that's traveling on a public roadway. And then the audit accountability, we do recommend, and you're following a model policy of regular audits, but we recently adopted a new tool that allows for real-time auditing for any potential misuse. It searches for irregular search patterns. For example, if someone were to search the same license plate 200 times with 16 different offense types, that's probably not a legitimate law enforcement activity. That would be flagged immediately to the administrator of your account, in your office, to further investigate and then determine if there's any misuse. It's unacceptable, and this needs to be taken quite seriously. I had a question about like number of cameras and grants. I think that's probably best for the director.
All right, so the number of cameras that we have in town right now are 22. This system was paid for by a grant from the state of New Jersey. That grant was in the amount of $339,000. It was a technology grant to make the community safer. There was ALPRs included in that grant and other technology included in that grant. So it was paid for by a grant, not on the taxpayers' back. It was put out to bid. So it was public information. It was placed on our website, and several companies did bid to get the contract with the township. All right, and the resolution was passed here in front of council.
I'll just add, everything we pass is published in paper. Our agendas are published. There's no, this wasn't snuck through. Go ahead.
And if I may just add also, this was for 4 years, correct?
Correct. Also, someone mentioned about using Flock for probable cause. We cannot use Flock for probable cause. We cannot do that. A testament that keeps coming up is everyone keeps repeating that we are surveilling them. I reiterate, we are not surveilling you. I'm not looking at your license plate. I'm not looking at your license plate. I'm not looking at your license plate. If you do commit a crime or an infraction where the police officers have to look at your license plate, then yes, we are going to look at your license plate. It's that simple. We are not tracking. No interest in tracking, not at all. We spoke about the audit. He touched on the audit a bit. I'll touch on it again. There was a little bit of confusion. The state requires an audit every year by Attorney General guideline. Franklin Township has taken it a step further. We audit quarterly and we audit monthly. That monthly audit is random. No officer knows when it's coming. At any point, the county prosecutor can audit us. At any point, the state ALP coordinator can audit us, right? And we cannot refuse that audit. If something is found inappropriately, that officer will be dealt with. Again, we are all human beings. Some human beings make mistakes.
So when the audit is performed, is it one person performing the audits?
The ALP coordinator for the police department is the only person that performs that audit and then sends it to the county, then to the state.
audit themselves, right?
They ordered the system. They ordered the system.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Right? They ordered the system, and that audit is then audited by the county and then audited again by the state.
More of themselves.
Right?
And Director, what happens with that audit report? What does the state do with that audit report?
That audit report is published. It is published.
And it's published annually?
Yes. So you will see the PDs that have officers that make those mistakes. It's not hidden. It's not hidden.
Regarding that audit, I
I'm sorry.
asked what agency.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, you can't speak now.
And I think someone asked about deletion. That's by Amazon Web Services, AWS, if I'm not correct. Someone talked about the business of IT and me making an excuse about mistakes. I'm not making an excuse about mistakes. What I'm telling you is reality. I am in law enforcement, right? I see the reality. I'm telling you the reality. Not what it might be or what it may be of what happens. And when I say someone with ill intentions is going to try to do something to further whatever it is they're trying to do, they are going to try it. Someone spoke about domestic violence, and we can talk about TROs, temporary restraining orders, right? You're in DV. When did it ever stop somebody that's intentionally wanting to go and hurt that other person? Guess who stops them? The police. That's who stops them, right? So think about that. Now, a lot of you gave examples of all of these things that went on around the country with, as far as misbehavior with cops. The difference in New Jersey is professionalism and training. I did not hear one example in New Jersey of a breach or any other example you gave about Flock. Not one. You know why? Because we're held to such a high standard, right? Now, I'm sure you all have seen the AG's publication. Not sure if you do or didn't, but the AG publishes yearly misbehavior by police officers. There's an entire packet that comes out every year. Full transparency, right? It's not hidden. We know that some people make mistakes. And someone mentioned about cameras only being in the black and brown community. Well, I can clearly tell you that all the cameras are not in black and brown communities, and they're not disproportionately put in those communities. They are strategically placed around the town, from New Brunswick to Princeton to Piscataway to South Boundbrook. All right? I'm running an agency, and I'm not going to run the agency with bias. I'm going to be fair. Anyone that knows me, I will talk it out, we will talk it out, I will listen until we all get it right.
And who decides where the cameras go?
The cameras are decided on entry and exit points from the town and then data from our statistics.
But who would?
ultimately our command staff, myself and the captains and lieutenants.
So the council has nothing to do with it?
The council does not have anything to do with it.
So Director, just to re-emphasize, are you aware of any misuse of the ALPR system in the Franklin PD?
No, sir. Absolutely not. Zero.
Director, where are the locations for these? Are you able to share that, or that's sensitive?
I will not share that sensitive information. It's strategic. Everyone has seen the pictures of the cameras. They're not hidden. They're not like hidden in trees or, you know, they're out there. You can see them. And once you see one, you notice them. I see them all around New Jersey.
Director, can you also mention who from the police department have access to that data?
Access to the data are sergeants and above. Sergeants, lieutenants, captains, and the command staff. Lieutenants as well. Citizen oversight, someone spoke about that for flock audits. What you have to understand is, again, connecting to warrants. Someone asked about warrants to get flock data. In that handout that I handed out to everyone, stored ALPR data shall be treated as criminal investigatory records. That is the rule in New Jersey. So you're not getting that information through an Oprah request. It's an investigatory record, right? I don't know if anybody in here has been involved in any type of a victim, right? Victims have rights. You don't get to see what happened to the victims. Someone mentioned that I only came in with a certain number of incidents. If I came in here with all the incidents from Flock, I would still be talking from this morning, okay? I would still be talking. And judging by the looks of your faces, I don't think you want to hear all of that, but I gave you highlights. I gave you highlights, okay? Again, criminal investigatory records. Some of these are still going on. I'm not at liberty to release it. Anyone who's been in the system, anyone who knows how this operates, will understand. I don't know if I missed anything else.
Anyway, we'll answer about single
Yes,
He already answered that, he answered that already. What about, they keep talking about false positive flags. How are we doing that?
False positive flags, he can answer, but I can attest to probably in the beginning, like any system, it's learning. And when I say professionalism in New Jersey, the officer has a duty to vet the information before they make a move, okay? All kind of examples. He pulled a gun, he did this, he did that. That's probably training. We're trained very well in New Jersey. Again, I did not hear an example. And if you find one, let me know, all right? Post it, do everything that you're doing right now. But I can almost guarantee you, in New Jersey, an officer that does something like that probably will not have a job. And it's going to be swift, and accountability will be done. I mean, it's not like we're going to play a game. It's not 20 years ago. That's not how it goes, especially here in Franklin Township, especially here in New Jersey. All right, I can tell you that as your public safety director. If one of my officers makes a mistake, they're held accountable. If it's egregious enough for them to be removed from the police department, they are removed from the police department. Any citizen complaint that you have regarding ALPR doesn't even come to me. It passes me and goes to the county and to the state. They take that away from us. I'm not even allowed to investigate it. It goes to the next level. That's how serious they are about this ALPR information in the state of New Jersey. Anything else that was missed?
Yes.
I do have a question for the Flock Rep. There was a question that was asked about getting the output from the Flock system to the cameras and feeding it into the AI system in terms of what the roadmap is and what the art of the possible. Can you respond to how we are using AI to the data that's being collected?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We do use machine learning to determine the characteristics of the vehicle, and that's it. So we look at the make, model, color, the alphanumeric characters on the license plate, and we use historic data in real life to help train the cameras to recognize what a E looks like in low light, what the new Cybertruck rear end looks like, so that the camera can learn for a more accurate reading. So that's how we use machine learning and AI.
I have a question.
Do we allow demo access?
There's a question about demo access. Somebody said that, I guess your company, when there's someplace else in the demoing, that they pull up a camera. I think that was the question, that they pull up a camera in Franklin.
There's no agreement for demo access with the township. That would be a separate contract you'd have to sign to give express permission. And I will say that.
So are you saying that, just so everybody understands, so specifically, when you're trying to sell this system to the city of Newark, you can't say, well, look, for instance, here's a camera that's on Hamilton Street in Franklin. Look what I can see, and you access it on your computer. You can't do that.
We cannot do that. We would have to be given
Do you
express.
not have the capabilities, or you just are not allowed to do it based upon our contract?
We're not allowed to do it. We have no right to access the data that's owned by you. And every.
You didn't answer my question though.
Oh, but we're not permitted to do it because you do not permit us to do it.
Right.
It has to be contractual.
Are you technically capable of doing it? Because you're terrific and you're here tonight, but you have a 25-year-old salesman who's out there trying to make a commission, and he's showing off. Right. So that's the question. The public's question is, do you have, and if you do, is there a way that we can end that access?
Yeah, if we were to make a search on your account without your permission, that would show up in your audit. There's no way to make a search without a uneditable audit record saying, this is the person who logged in, this is the case that they were running, this is the defense count, this is the time, this is the camera that was searched. So that would show in any audit.
So you answered my question. You have the capabilities to do it. The question is there a way that we can block that capability?
We would be in violation of our contract.
Yeah, you're not answering my question.
Would you be able to stop your ability to do it?
No, they hold the encryption.
Sir, I didn't ask you. Please stop.
Sir,
Stop. Would you be able to stop Flock's ability to access our cameras to show it to another town as a demo?
By contract?
No, by technology.
I would have to confirm. I believe that to be the case. I feel like the way we access a permitted demo structure is a completely different architecture
That's the
than you would use
I know
normally.
more about the system than this guy.
you had a question?
Yeah, there was a question about the cost of taxpayers. So we heard that we have this grant for 4 years. And what's going to happen after 4 years?
That'll be up to you. I don't think that the director can answer that question, Councilman.
No, I'm asking.
So the answer is, that'll be up to the governing body to decide if they want to award another contract.
Correct. I'm just asking what will be the cost so we can at least
So I think
understand.
that'll be the going rate of what they charge in 2 years. Don't know that yet.
87,000 a year. It would be much more than that.
So,
I think it's $3,500 per camera right now. We don't know what the cost is going to be down the road.
Correct.
Could be lower, could be higher. We don't know.
so, Oprah. Someone asked about Oprah.
Yeah, I addressed Oprah.
I missed it.
It's not operable.
I didn't think so.
It's an investigatory record.
Anything we missed?
Yes. So someone asked if there are still patrol cars with ALPRs?
Yes, I'm sorry. The patrol cars do have ALPR. We have ALPR in our patrol cars since 2010.
Another question was, would you require multiple officers to sign off to ensure it's not missing?
Absolutely. There is general orders that each officer has to sign off on. There is training that each officer has to take and sign off on that training.
I believe the question was for access to the database.
It's already required, Director. She's asking is if one officer needs the approval of another officer at a higher rank before a search can be done.
Yes.
It's part of our general order.
You asked, you also, excuse me, you also asked, why was Flock notified before the people were notified? Let me tell you how that happened. About 2 or 3 months ago, I knocked on a door and someone told me about Flock. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I knew we had ALPR. I didn't associate the name Flock with it. I didn't realize that. So I looked that up and got the association. That was fine. Then I believe it was this gentleman here who contacted me about a petition he had. And we talked to the director and we talked to Flock. And when Flock said that they would come, I let him know before my fellow council members, before the press knew. You can ask a member of the press. He asked me, how did they find out so quickly that there was going to be a meeting? It's because I let him know about that before I even let council members know. So I don't think there was much hiding of information.
Yeah, I had asked Flock if they indemnify the township should we end up in litigation over somebody falsely appropriating the software or technology.
I don't know the answer to that, but I can follow up and do that.
So, Mr. Reno, so I have a question about that. I'll ask the township attorney the question, and I think is relevant to that question. If one of our officers conducts an act of misconduct, why would Flock indemnify us for using their product inappropriately?
So, I'm not sure that I can answer that. Let's stop now. Generally, and I'm gonna say this generally, indemnification clauses don't indemnify, you don't indemnify for the wrongful acts.
Right, exactly, that's my
So,
point.
but I don't have the contract in front of me, so I'm not comfortable in answering the question as to what the indemnification clause says or not. But, you know, that's generally the way indemnification clause.
But my question, I think, is a little bit different,
No,
maybe.
I think that, I honestly, I don't, and once again, I can't answer the question without having the contract in front of me, but I think the question was, you get a false,
Right.
you get a false
Right.
positive from Flock, and you pull over and arrest, you know, a mom, maybe in the backseat of the car for an armed robbery that she didn't commit. So now there's a lawsuit. Now the township hasn't done anything wrong, because all the township did was type in information into a system, but Flock read it wrong. I think the question, which I can't answer tonight because I don't have the contract in front of me, is whether or not they're prepared to indemnify us for their wrongful
Right,
acts.
right.
Because in that circumstance, as we know what happens there, is the civil rights violation is always foisted upon the public entity, not the private party. So that's really the question, and the answer is, I don't know the answer to that question. The other thing that I don't know, which may or may not be in this contract, is whether or not there are either bonds or insurance provisions in it, but I don't have the contract in front of me. I apologize, so I can't answer this question.
Charlie also asked why you misrepresented Daniel's law at the last meeting. Did you want to
I don't
respond?
answer legal questions from Mr. Cradaville, that's just my policy. So, you're welcome.
I got a question that didn't get answered. I asked about profit.
So I was gonna address that, sir, so again, and I'm gonna now ask you a question. I heard you say it 3 times, and I don't understand what you mean. This company makes a profit.
No, I'm talking about, in your letter, see item 2, under prohibited uses, profit based on 5 items, that's implying that there may be other items that you do get profit on. That's the question I'm asking.
No, it says profiling, not profiting. The word is profiling, sir. We can't profile. That's why I didn't understand what you meant when you asked it. Okay? All right. Not a problem. I got ones in my hand.
I don't have my glasses, I'm sorry.
Not an issue at all, sir.
I also asked about the density issue, because the U.S. Federal courts have ruled that density may determine when a Fourth Amendment violation does happen. So who controls whether or not the township as a whole, or wards in general, may exceed that density issue?
So actually, I think that it's not, that's not actually a federal court. That's actually kind of been the law in New Jersey. Remember, there's a federal constitution and a state constitution. The state constitution, and I think it's Article 1, Section 19, lists a number of, it's like a Bill of Rights that's in the state constitution. And the Supreme Court of New Jersey for years has ruled that there is more protection under the state constitution in some circumstances than there is under the federal constitution. And I think what the Supreme Court has said in kind of a number of very different ways. And remember, new technology, so we're trying to interpret. You know, somebody talked about Carpenter, which was a great case from the 1960s, I think, but it's hard to extrapolate through today. But I think what the New Jersey Supreme Court, as I kind of suss out what it is that they're saying, is saying that if it becomes systematic, and I think that that's your point, if it's a point where there's a, like if you were using, you had a suspect in a case, and you were using Flock to track all of their movements, or a person of interest in a case, and you were doing that, there's a point at which that act becomes a violative of someone's Fourth Amendment because it's being used for a different purpose. The New Jersey courts and the federal courts are pretty clear that just the reading of a license plate in and of itself is not a search because it's on public display, essentially, it's in plain sight. So I think that's what you're trying to say. I don't think that your question is who makes that determination. Ultimately, it's a court, but I think that there are policies, and I'll let the director answer the rest of it. There are policies in place. That's not something we under our policies can use it for.
I'm speaking about a Fourth Circuit case.
So
Director,
So I made the mistake of asking public what we missed. I jumped down a rabbit hole. It's not a continuing discussion. It just if we missed the question.
and then I have a question for the director.
Township hot lists.
Right, so, so, the,
Hot list, false positives in Franklin Township, what's the percentage?
I don't have a percentage of false positives in Franklin.
Is that because you guys audit yourselves?
So
Is
you're
that
not,
No, because that's because we haven't had one.
not expanding the
why? You
question.
haven't had a hot list report?
I haven't had a false
We haven't had a
positive.
false positive, sir.
There's
That's what
gonna
I'm
be-
saying to you.
There's gonna be two more, I'm gonna allow two more. Council, you can beat up on me for having.
She's written down every question you haven't answered.
Woman, this woman here.
No, me?
Yes. Did we miss one of your questions?
Yes, yes. I asked one question particularly. I wanted to know regarding the abortion case where a woman got an abortion in Texas and Flock in Washington, Illinois was used. I wanted to see if that was confirmed by the company and if that can be done.
So use of the system for reproductive health care or civil immigration enforcement is forbidden by state law. So that's coded into the system, so this cannot be used for those searches. We've created filters to block any search terms related to that. So no, this would not be permitted use investigation.
Woman in black.
Thank you, Mayor. Of any of the 24 flock cameras that are mostly in Ward 4 and 5, are they capable of facial recognition? I know they don't, but are they capable of it?
No.
How is that, if they can record things, how is that possible?
These are just taking a photo of the exterior of a vehicle.
Just,
It's a single.
you don't have any faces in there?
It's not built to do. It's not built to look for faces. It's looking at the exterior vehicle to specifically look at license plate and vehicle characteristics, make, model, color.
All right, we've got, so this meeting,
You're still missing questions. I wrote every single question down.
Fair enough, just get through the questions. She took away our time anyway. You don't think they'd get to every question, is what he's saying. I don't think we get to every question.
This is what happens when you run everything back to back, but you have somebody who took down the
So-
notes.
Shit show.
we had a council meeting scheduled. We have council business to do. We have to pay the bills. We have to pass some ordinances.
And you don't have to answer questions.
Sir, let it go.
Worthless government.
And
Is there air conditioning?
we've done,
Why are you sweating?
we added, I added this to the agenda.
We paid for air
We
conditioning.
didn't have to add anything, could have let people come up.
And thank you
just-
for that.
So we do have to move on. I'm sorry if we've missed a question. I'll be here after the meeting.
Mayor, I do have a comment before we leave this topic.
Go ahead.
So, I just want to respond to two comments that were made in the public session. First of all, there was a comment that was made about council having board faces and having made up our minds. I just want to say that is furthest from the truth. Public comment is an important part of the process. I spoke for myself, I speak for myself, and in many instances I represent the council as well. I listen carefully and care about your perspectives and comments, even if they are different from mine. I was not on the council when the ALPR and the flock cameras were discussed and contracted. But I know the conversations that we have heard today, whether it was about data privacy, whether it was about environmental issues, whether it was about civil rights, all of those topics are relevant and important. And this is not the only time we're going to talk about this. I do want to respond to an accusation, and it's happened a few times. I use my phone, and I'm going to say this again, I use my phone during all meetings, including council meetings, to make some personal notes for myself. If the person who made that acquisition really, truly, deeply cares about what happened during the course of this specific meeting, I'm happy to share my notes from this meeting. I do this for all meetings, and I will continue to do that. But do not for a second assume that I'm here spending my time listening to you, that I'm not paying attention. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on. Council, we've already had the council discussion item. We are now on to comments and reports. Let's try this. We did it once before. Do 1 minute council comments. We each have 1 minute to respond. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
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 Wait, we're doing 1 minute? 1 minute council comments.
Put the clock on.
Wait, before you start, everyone, if you're going to leave, please leave as quietly as you can. Close the doors behind you. Mr. Wright, I'm calling on you first. Mr. Wright, I'm calling.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Still on the job.
1 minute, right? Okay, the HRC, that's the committee, is looking for financial assistance to run their project, this their common project for the 250 years of independence. They are looking for financial assistance from the city and from the council. That is one. Another thing is the Nigerian community and the West African communities lost one of our great sons in this community. He is Engineer Chief Bassett Oguke. He has been living in Franklin for a long time and is a successful businessman and a distinguished member of the society. We just lost him.
Thank you. Councilwoman Francois.
I have no comments, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Embarrassing.
I yield my time to you, Mayor.
No yielding of time. Councilwoman Udine.
No reports at this time. I will table my points at the next one. Thank you.
Councilman Singh. Please step down. Deputy Mayor.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out today, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, and we really appreciate it. We are here to listen to you, we are here to learn from you, and we thank you so much.
For my comments, I'll just say this meeting started at 7 o'clock, maybe 10 minutes went to proclamations. It's now 9:45. I don't think anyone can accuse us of ignoring the issue. We take it seriously, we listened. Thank you for your comments.